Today for Predictions versus Reality, we continue in the AFC North talking about a team that nearly rose from the ashes from their terrible season to make the playoffs. We're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals, a third place team in the AFC North. We're going to talk about where I had them in August, what happened with their season, what went wrong, and kind of what went right. And then we're going to finish off talking about what they can do to get better. Before we begin officially, all right, and welcome in, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic, fantabulous, awesome freaking day. My name is Garrett Shumake, and you are listening to the Shumake Take. Welcome in to Predictions versus Reality. The offseason series continues with the Cincinnati Bengals and the year that they had. Before we begin, I just want to say make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. If you're new around here on the channel, or if you like my content, you go ahead and do that. It would take only a couple seconds. I would greatly appreciate it if you would, and continue to help me spread my football passion to more and more people on this platform. That being said, let's jump right into it. So for the Bengals, where did I have this team in August? Well, I projected this team to go 11-6, and I had them going 11-6. First and foremost, I thought at the time their free agency was pretty good. They added a lot of players on defense to really help supplement the people that they lost. I thought their draft was good at the time, and I still think it's good. They didn't do as much as I thought they would, but I still like the upside of their draft. Regardless, those two things I thought would help them keep their Super Bowl window open. The biggest thing was just health. Can Joe Burrow stay healthy? Remember, he got hurt in the middle of 2023, and so they were kind of just missed the playoffs, but they still kind of looked good with Jake Browning at quarterback. And it was a matter of, can they stay healthy and can the moves actually work? And if those two things happen, the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. So that being said, what actually happened? Well, some things went wrong here. They finished 9-8. Their offense ranked 9th, which checks out because of how good Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were. Joe Burrow had a career year and actually had MVP votes, which is crazy to me for the year that they ended up having as a team. And then Jamar Chase, Triple Crown winner, he's now going to get that big contract. Their defense ranked 25th, and that was one of the big problems on this bunch. Their three best wins to me were against Denver. They won in overtime 30-24 in week 17. That was a really good game, one of my top games of the year in my opinion. They beat Pittsburgh at Pittsburgh 19-17 at the final in week 18 to win 5 games and, kind of punch their spot, as a playoff contender. They just had to wait for a couple teams to lose to get in, and that did not happen. And then they beat Las Vegas 41-24. I just picked that one because that was one of their most, if they're not their most dominant win on the year. So that was a game where, okay, both sides of the ball looked good, and you could see what this team could look like if things went their way. But as we mentioned, this year did not go their way. They started off really, really bad. Their offense was literally just Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. Not even T. Higgins. He was hurt for the beginning of the year. So it was literally just Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase carrying this team on their back. But everything else was just not up to par. So they really couldn't do much of anything, despite the fact that they were playing great. They played great football from week 1 to week 18. They both of them just went nuts. They both just went nuts. And it's so sad that the rest of the team around them simply didn't work. But at the same time, they did go on a 5-game win streak to end the year and to finish 9-8, which is really cool. And the fact that they were in the playoff hunt at the end of it was really impressive considering where they started with their season. But we got to talk about what went wrong. So the first thing that went wrong with the Bengals, their defense was just straight garbage. They were 21st against the pass, 19th against the run, 25th in scoring, 30th in the red zone. They were 23rd on third down. This unit simply just was not good. The defensive line was not good at all outside of Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks. He was great, but they lost DJ Reader in free agency. His presence or lack of presence was felt. The secondary was just meh. The Geno Stone signing was a complete flop. He was not good at all this year. Their corners, all of them are good, just not great. So it led to a defense that was just blah, just really, really bad. And it held this team back a lot. But it wasn't just the defense. The offensive line, yet again, was just god-awful. I don't know what the Bengals are going to do at this point to fix their offensive line. They've tried so many different things now, and it's not working. They cut veteran guard Alex Kappa, but he was one of the worst starting guards in the NFL, if not the worst starting guard. Saves them some money, great, but just Jesus Christ. I don't know what the Bengals are going to do with their offensive line. They're just a team that perpetually can't get it right. And I think you just need to fire your offensive line coach, get a new coach or something. I have no idea. I just have no idea how the Bengals fix their offensive line. It's just it's a bottom 5 unit every year, and it's unfortunate because you have one of the best quarterbacks and best receivers in the NFL, and you just cannot get an offensive line to actually pair up with that to maximize their potential. But anyways, that's not the third or the other thing that was awful. The third thing was the run game being terrible. Chase Brown, they signed him in free agency. He broke 900 yards rushing, but overall in the entire unit, there was no efficiency. There was barely no production outside of Chase Brown. Zach Moss was in and out of the lineup with injuries. When he was on the field, he was okay at best. It just, these three groups, which is kind of the rest of the team, simply just did not live up to par at all. And it's quite frankly a surprise that the Bengals were able to do what they did and for what Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were able to do in putting their team on their back. And as the year went on, when T. Higgins came back healthy, he was good. Mike Gesicki, he was solid, had one of the better years of his career. And then Gabriel Oshivas, as a slot guy, he was okay. Obviously didn't have to do that much with the other guys above him carrying the majority of the workload. But the passing game for this team was the only thing that was actually good, which is crazy. And that's the only thing that really went right for them, which when they all got back and when they all came healthy, it all showed what this passing game and what this offense can truly look like if they just had better offensive line play and a better defense and a better run game. But with all that being said, what now? How can the Bengals really get better? The thing is, it just stinks. It just stinks that the Bengals took a step back with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase having the best years of their career. And the thing is, I firmly believe that if everything that went wrong for Cincinnati, like I mentioned, just was average, not even good, just league average, this team would have been in the playoffs. They would have been in the playoffs, and they probably would have won a playoff game. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were that good that I believe they would have carried the rest of the team to a playoff spot and to a playoff win had everything else been average. But because everything else was so bad, it was just too much for these two guys and the rest of the passing game on the offense to overcome. It was literally just too much to go there. So how are they going to fix this? Well, let's go down to the big three needs of this team. Number one is offensive line. Honestly, I really don't know where to start. You drafted Amarius Mims with your first round pick last year. He had some flashes, but at least he's a young guy you can keep on developing. The interior is just terrible. A lot of money spent with no production. Orlando Brown, he's just been bad. He's been really bad ever since he went to Cincinnati. It hasn't worked out. I don't know what you do there. It's just the offensive line's so bad. I don't even know where to start to fix it. It needs so many holes. The coaching is so bad. It's the biggest need on the team. It's been the biggest need on the team for years. But at this point, it's been so bad, I have no idea where to start to fix it. Maybe you go offensive line in the first round to help maybe draft offensive tackle. If Kelvin Banks drops, maybe you take him. But Jesus Christ, this offensive line is so bad. I have no idea where to start. So we'll just have to monitor and see what they do and see if there's actually going to be a significant improvement. But I'm not expecting one at all. So it's kind of a dead end cause to me at the moment. The next one is defensive back, just because their defensive line or defensive back was good and not great. And they have a couple guys hitting the free agency market. So maybe you draft a veteran or get a veteran, draft a corner, kind of like the traditional thing that people do to build their position groups. But they just need a good infusion, a good talented guy to go in there. Maybe you get one in the second. There's some DBs there that are available. Maybe you draft Shaven Revel, the corner out of East Carolina, if you don't want to go offensive line. I think that'd be a dumb idea. But at the same time, you do need a DB, so maybe taking one there and helping bolstering that unit would help regardless. The third one is running back. They need a running back. Chase Brown, I don't think he's the number one back in a committee. I think he could be, but I think he's better suited for a secondary role like he was before. And then Zach Moss, simply not living up to expectations. I think you need to draft running back on day 3 and get a guy that's explosive, that can make plays, and just really help balance out this offense a little bit. And maybe also help out the offensive line that's been so bad. Maybe if they have a better running game as well, that can help the rest of this offense just breathe and not have to have one group or another group here struggle or strain so much to keep everything afloat. So those are the 3 biggest ones. They obviously have other needs, of course. I could see them getting another wide receiver potentially. I doubt it. Maybe someone as a depth piece tight end, a backup tight end would help. Just adding depth on the offense in general. Defensively, you could use another edge rusher. You could use another defensive tackle. So, I mean, there's just a little bit more needs than just these big three. But I feel like those other needs could be supplemented. They could be worked around and patched up if needed. But these ones, they need a lot of attention first and foremost. So addressing the offensive line, the defensive backs, and running back are where they need to attack first. To wrap it all up, I do like the hiring of Al Golden to be the next defensive coordinator, and it does look like the front office really wants to keep Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and even Mike Gesicki all together, which given how they carried this team in 2024, I'm all for it because that's what really worked for them. Stick with that. That makes sense for where the timeline of the Bengals are. And that being said, the rest of the team is just going to have to step up because these four can't do it alone in 2025. Since he can't get back into the playoffs, if they can improve at least a little bit on all their sides of the part, everyone on the team that's not named Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the rest of the receiving game. So if they can do that, this team can get back into the playoffs. I'm just not sure what they're going to do. It's just going to be too hard to really gauge what they're going to do to fix these position groups, especially with the offensive line. Like I mentioned, it feels like a dead at lost cause because of how bad it's been and all the moves they made, and it's still not work. But we will have to see. But that being said, do not underestimate this team going into 2025 because, like I said, if all this team outside of the receiving game was average, this team would have been a playoff team. So if they can just make that slight jump, maybe we're looking at Cincinnati being the playoff team that we thought they could be. So that being all said, do not underestimate this team. We need to watch this team very closely because they're going to be one of the more interesting teams to watch this offseason. With that being said, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did and you want to become a fan of the Shumake Take podcast, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe button. Helps the channel out tremendously. Only takes a couple of seconds. I would really appreciate it if you guys would do that and help me continue growing my football passion and spreading it to more and more people on the platform. Also, Bengals fans, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are on what they can do in free agency, what you want them to do in the draft, and what do you think this team would look like if they pay Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Mike Gesicki to keep them all here? Is that a good idea? Financially, doesn't seem like one, but for the timeline of the Bengals, I believe they need to at this point. So let me know your thoughts there as well. Also, make sure you guys share the video, getting everybody locked in and locked on to the Shumake Take podcast, coming out with great content for you guys every single week like this one. We're going to continue with the AFC North, and then we're going to go the AFC East, AFC West, and then finish off with the AFC South. But that being said, that is going to do it for me today, guys. Hope you all have enjoyed, and I will see you all next time.